Once again, a very warm afternoon. It's a bit warm, thankfully, after days of cold. And Mr. Nitin Gupta is here, the chairman of the Central Board of Direct Taxes. When we were planning the session and prior to this, when we had invited him here, we had hoped that his counterpart from the indirect tax side would also be there. But since it's only Mr. Gupta, we are calling this session the long and short of taxation. Mr. Gupta, lots of questions that you must have answered in the last 5 days, and I'm going to start with the big one. Why are you confident that the new tax regime will be a game changer?
Very valid question, and the contours of the proposed tax regime are before everyone. You will agree that lot of changes have been made. The slabs have been widened, the number of slabs have been reduced, the surcharge for the rich and super rich has been moderated. So lot of changes are there, in spite of the fact that it is deduction and exemption free. There is something which will remain with the taxpayers in terms of the amount of tax saved, in terms of the decision making which they can make for the investment in case they like to make. So the choice is left with the taxpayer to decide what way he wants to do, and therefore we believe that it would be a game changer. As you all know, the scheme is there from 2020, but it could not take that wings which it should have taken, and we believe that with the proposed changes, it is going to take wings and it will move forward in a very fast way.
Sir, one of the questions that is being asked, and perhaps you have answered this, is that this is government very slowly and quietly moving towards doing away with all exemptions. Government does not want to pay too much interest on small saving schemes. Therefore, you are encouraging people to save less, spend more, and pay extra tax.
It's not strictly speaking the way it is being projected. As a taxpayer, even if one chooses to be in the proposed regime, he is free to make a contribution towards savings or anything. So that's not the case. See, we are looking at from the taxation perspective, and apart from being simplistic, where you need not maintain any documentation, you can file the return of income in a very simplistic manner without the help of a professional. All these are pluses. And from the tax administration perspective, let me say, what we are coming across is certain people are misutilizing the trust which we have reposed in them by claiming wrongful deductions and exemptions. So probably that thing would also be a thing of the past, only because of certain people who, I think, shift the taxpayers, change their mind to utilize unavailable deductions and exemptions. That will become a thing of the past as well. And the administration of tax, administration of the return would be simpler for us as well.
What is the percentage, if you can share with us, Mr. Gupta, of such people who, as you said, are claiming wrongful exemptions?
It's very difficult to define in terms of percentage, but even a single person, if he is utilizing it wrongfully, is not good. We mounted certain actions in political parties, and what we found that it is very rampant to claim deduction of the contribution made to the political party, and claiming it, the money has been paid back to the person who donated the money, who contributed to the political party, and then, so it is limited to not all political parties, it is limited to certain very with low profile. So that is there, these are unregistered as well. Apart from that, what we have noticed is that certain organizations where a particular tax professional induces the salaried employees to claim wrongful deductions, and what we have observed that these deductions are claimed up to the hilt. That means to say, if the ATC deduction is there, it is up to 1.5 lakh, then ATD up to 1 lakh or 50,000, something like that, which is not possible looking to the income profile of that person. So it's that sort of thing are happening. We have come across these things and we are taking corrective actions. But suffice to say that even if these are small in numbers as compared to the overall taxpayer base, it is not appropriate. And these people, these salaried employees who have taken it wrongfully, are liable for prosecution, and they get.
What action has been taken against those, as you put it, small political parties which might just be sort of fronts for certain kinds of activities?
As I said, we mounted action, and then we take the whatever is required to be taken in terms of putting them to the prosecution, taxation, and cancellation of their registration, etc. So these are the taken in terms of the what has been provided in that under the statute.
Okay. Let's come to another question, and this is to do with the fact that there are certain people in the insurance industry who are saying that there will be a negative impact on the insurance sector because of some of these proposals in the finance bill. What would you say to them?
Let me clarify 2 points. The first is that with the proposed regime, it is up to the taxpayer, as I have told you, that it is up to the taxpayer to decide which type of policy he or she wants to have, whether term or endowment or any other policy. So it is left to the choice of the taxpayer. So exactly, it is not going to, it may have some impact on the insurance sector, but not to that extent. Secondly, the proposed change of limiting the tax benefit up to rupees 5 lakh of the annual premium paid by the taxpayer is not restrictive, in the sense that insurance company can still float a policy where the annual premium is of 10 lakh rupees or anything, but the tax benefit will not be available. So that is the only point which is there. And one more point which comes to my thought is that probably it is going to make the sector more competitive. Probably the insurance companies will come out with better products. They will be more efficient in terms of providing returns to the person who is taking a policy. So I think it is going to be a better terrain, better area henceforth.
So what you are also saying, Mr. Gupta, is that insurance products should be for the specific purpose to insure against certain eventualities and not for tax shopping, really.
Definitely.
Okay. Let me also ask you about your own sense, and you briefly touched upon it. What is the net benefit that taxpayers can expect if they switch to the new regime? Obviously, there are various income profiles. Can you give us the broadest sense of who benefits the most and to what extent?
Now, every section of the taxpayer benefits, number one. Number two is the person who is the lowest rung, earlier up to 5 lakh, now up to 7 lakh in the proposed regime, is not required to pay any tax. If he is salaried employee, it becomes 7 lakh 50,000. So a person earning 7 lakh 50,000 per annum without any deduction, without any exemption, will not be required to pay any tax. Now coming from 7 lakh or 7.5 lakh to 15 lakh, at 15 lakh, our calculation shows that in the proposed tax regime, the tax payable would be 1,50,000. So effective tax rate works out to 10%. Okay. But if there is a taxpayer who, with the income of 18,75,000, with a deduction exemption of 3,75,000 in the old regime, net income becomes 15 lakh, will also be paying tax of 1,50,000 in the old regime. That means to say 18,75,000 income, deduction of 3,75,000
plus exemption.
Of deduction exemption put together is at the same level as income of 15 lakh in the new regime. If a person has lesser deduction and exemption aggregating to 3,75,000, the new regime, the proposed regime, would be beneficial to the taxpayer. Now the issue is, at the income level of 15 lakh or 18 lakh 75,000, what could be the quantum of deduction or exemption one can enjoy, because one requires money for expenditure, for his own utilization and all that. So it is our perception that it's quite decent amount, which is we have thought about making it a inflection point. So 3,75,000, if a 18,75,000 is putting to exemption and deductions, is at the same level as the new regime. I believe lot many people who are claiming less than this would be better off in the new regime.
Okay.
And that will be the position in the income level higher than this. Above 5 crore, obviously surcharge will make a lot of difference and they will be benefited.
One question about the way the new tax slabs are proposed to be said, and it is my understanding when I looked at it, for 12 to 15 lakh taxable income, the rate is 20%. And the moment you cross 15, you go straight away to 30. Shouldn't it have been 25% if you were following a graded 5 to 10 to 15 to 20? Why this sudden jump from 20 to 30? The point that someone said that you are perhaps targeting those who are what you see as the creamy layer, really.
We could, our calculations could lead to this thing. It could have been done that way, what you are proposing, what you are suggesting. So it's a call to be taken. See, budget exercise is very time oriented. There is a timelines involved. There is a lot of work to be done. It's really, I'm saying, our team is working overnight, at times 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Even I left office at 12:30 in the night. So it's a very rigorous.
There is no argument against this, and people like me who have covered the finance ministry know that if the midnight oil is burnt in Bharat Sarkar, 3 months before budget, North Block burns a lot of oil. But sir, I will persist with that question, and you must allow me this. For corporate sector 25%, मैं आम आदमी हूँ, मैं क्यों 30% दूँ? मैंने क्या खता की है? I am complying with everything. I am paying indirect tax on every single transaction that I undertake. But आप मेरे को निचोड़ रहे हैं. 5% आप कम से कम मेरी पैरिटी रखवाते ना कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर के साथ. उनको तो आपने 2019 में माला माल कर दिया, आम आदमी को छोड़ दिया.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. It's not the case that what Siddharth is suggesting, but we will definitely keep it in mind, and maybe if it will be deliberated or discussed as well, we will keep it in mind. Everything cannot happen in one go. Probably it may happen in future as well. So
I'm glad you are hinting at that, and I will just say this with your permission, that just like you gave a mid-course corporate tax cut, maybe you might decide to do that in this September or whenever you choose to do that, but definitely you have given us a headline that you will take a look at it. Let's now come to another aspect of this new tax regime, which is the benefit for employers and how much compliance systems, filing. Every year we have to give 5 proofs. There is a whole department in companies which is, they are busy with tax compliance. Will Indian employers also benefit in some way with the new tax regime? And more importantly, sir, for all our viewers and audience here, what would you tell corporate India with regard to incentivizing their employees or pushing their employees towards the new regime?
You have rightly, succinctly pointed out that it is going to be beneficial for any deductor, means employer, because of the lesser paperwork needed in terms of the verification of claims and all that. So definitely it is a beneficial for the tax deductor, the employer. And but I personally feel that it's up to the taxpayer to choose which regime it would like to have. So probably the employer can just put forth the benefits of the new regime, the proposed regime, before the employee, and it is up to him to take a call onto that, what way he or she likes to choose.
Sir, by when will you make the new regime mandatory?
I think Honorable FM has already indicated that it would be work in progress anyway, and
okay.
As of now we have not touched the old regime. The benefits are percolating to the new regime, so it shows a policy shift in the mind of the policy makers that the time will be for the for the new regime only.
Okay. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Revenue Secretary, Finance Secretary, and other finance secretaries and the budget makers like Mr. Nitin Gupta are here with us through the day. Mr. Gupta, one more broader point, and this is to do with the expectation in the run-up to the budget that you will also use this opportunity to, if not actually do it, but indicate a reform roadmap for ending the sort of gaps between long-term and short-term capital gains taxation. How much were you able to work on that, and why did it not come through in this budget?
Capital gain is a very complex, really complex exercise in terms of the asset classes, in terms of the holding periods, what we have done over a period of time, over last 60 years, adding one or more layer. There are different treatments for residents, non-residents. Then we have indexation, without indexation. So then it affects whole lot of people. We believe that it's such a ticklish exercise that we initiated that, not that we did not discuss it, we did not deliberate upon it. It was discussed, it was deliberated upon. But up to the last contours, in that limited time frame, it's not possible to find a common ground, and therefore it's a again work in progress where we would revert back and take a call.
Sir, is there a possibility of a public discussion paper? The department has been encouraging public feedback before certain policies and decisions are finalized.
See, there were a lot of communications, lot of representations on this issue as well from the different chambers and associations, and these are already there. So if new suggestions are there, if there are any representations, that we will also consider, as we consider for any change, any amendment or proposal.
Okay. Sir, I have one more question, again from a different perspective, but on the new tax regime. It used to be, many years back, EET in terms of taxation. Has it now shifted to TEE, tax exempt?
See, the choice is with the taxpayer, as I have said. You have rightly put it. Though no, this way we have not thought about, but it is really so now. So one can take like that.
Okay. The broader question that a lot of people may want to understand from you is your own reading of the buoyancy in tax collections. We have seen several major steps and decisions over the last 6-7 years, which have led to greater formalization of the economy, much better tax compliance and tax collections, direct tax collections as well as indirect. In terms of direct tax collections, which is your ambit, how do you see the revenue outlook going ahead in terms of compliance and ensuring that more and more people come under the tax net?
Tax buoyancy has been really good, barring for the COVID period when everything was topsy-turvy, but overall revenue buoyancy is good, particularly in the current financial year, where we are growing at 24% and net 18%, in spite of higher refund outgo, which has been appreciated by the taxpayer community as a whole. And we think that we can continue with that, getting better trust from the taxpayers. Having said that, the buoyancy for the remaining part of the current financial year is likely to be good. Looking to the way businesses are moving, the quarterly results are witnessed because quarterly results are being seen now.
Yes.
And the advance tax which we have already seen. So we believe that remaining 2 months, roughly 2 months of the current financial year will be good in terms of buoyancy. Now coming to the future, means the next year, the buoyancy is, we expect it to be good, and with the revenue foregone, it will be of the range of 1.2 to 1.3. So which will be a very reasonable buoyancy for us to meet the targets. Right. Then the taxpayer base, what has been our experience has been that technology is giving us a good support. We have come out several new schemes, and we are utilizing technology in a way which we can be used to nudge the taxpayer to voluntarily come forward and file the return of income, or if in case he has submitted incorrect particulars, to come up and file a correct particular. So that way we are already moving and it is giving us dividend. We are witnessing around 5% increase in the return of income, the taxpayers who file return of income every year.
5%?
Yes, around 5%. So that has been the experience, and with this our taxpayer base is also rising.
Okay.
Then if new measures have been taken to give a audit trail about the taxpayer in terms of the TDS provisions, and therefore we think that it is going to give us good traction. That has been the policy of the government for some time.
My final question, the last one for today, is to do with your own assessment of whether the glitches, certain issues that taxpayers had faced when it came to filing. Obviously, there is a volume, people come in, everybody wants to do it in the last 24 hours. So that all said, you yourself, your department has been putting a lot of attention on that. How robust is that system? Can you assure us that people will not face problems in the next filing cycle?
See, we witnessed difficulty in the year 2021 when we shifted to the new portal. A lot of difficulties were faced by the taxpayers, and we had to work again a lot to remove the glitches. In 2022, you would agree that we did not extend the date for filing of the return of income, and in spite of that, our filing process was smooth. Taxpayers could, like you have said, the record is 72 lakh returns were filed on a single day, and our team, which were supporting the taxpayers in terms of the redressal of their problems which they were facing in terms of, not in terms of uploading of data or putting the data in the portal, but how to do it and how better way they can do it, were also responded to in the most efficient manner. We believe that we would be able to have provide a still better environment to the taxpayers to file the return of income in the cycle of 2023.
Absolutely, and that's the whole point. You cannot avoid taxes, just like you cannot avoid death. But I'm not going to end on that somber note. I'll just end by saying, Mr. Gupta, thank you very much. All taxpayers look up to you, not just for reductions, but also for ease of filing, and I'm glad you have made that assurance. I thank you very much for your time with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for one of the key budget makers this time around. Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta.